Hello everyone, my name is Mai Nguyen and I'm a registered migration agent at Aussizz Group. Today I'd like to talk to you about teaching courses in Australia and PR pathway, but mainly about PR pathway. Okay, so before we start, I just want to talk to you shortly about how to study the relevant course for you to pursue the occupation as a teacher. So normally you have to study something like the course of Masters of Teaching at the major universities, and that would cost you, that would take you to 2 years full time, and after that you'll be eligible to apply for your graduate visa. Okay, and with that then you have more time to then pursue collating your points, getting skills assessment, and then be able to lodge your expression of interest applications, and then wait to be invited. So that's a rough rundown of the pathway to lead you to get your PR. So I want to specifically talk to you about the specific teachers that would give you the best chance to pursue your PR. You should study the relevant course that ends up allowing you to become either a pre-primary teacher or a secondary teacher, okay? Because primary teachers is currently not on the medium and long-term occupation list, but the other two, the pre-primary teachers and secondary teachers, are on the medium and long-term. So it will be available for you for all visas, the 189 visa, 190 and 491. Whereas the primary school teachers, there are only certain states that offer that occupation within that state. Currently, WA has stated, or it's made available, the primary school teacher as being in the high priority occupation, which means that if you graduate within WA, you have a very good chance to be invited at minimum points, at least 65 points, for either the 190 visa or the 491. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, before I go forward, we want to revise skills migration requirement. So for people who are not aware, in order for you to find a secure PR pathway, you need to know of certain mandatory requirements that you need to satisfy for you to be on that pathway, leading you towards your PR through skill migration. So first of all, you must be under 45 years old. You must have studied at least 2 years in Australia in the relevant course. Must have at least 65 points to your name for expression of interest points. And you must have a full skills assessment from the relevant assessing authority body. When we're talking about teachers, then the relevant authority body would be AITSL. Okay, so what does AITSL stand for? It is the Australian Institute for Teaching and School Leadership Limited. Okay, so for the AITSL skills assessment, you need to have a positive outcome letter from them, from AITSL, for you to pursue your PR to become as either a secondary teacher or a primary teacher or a primary school teacher. Okay, so for them, you need to show that you have obtained the relevant qualifications and also the required English language proficiency for your nominated occupation. So AITSL only accepts IELTS, okay, results. So you need to show that you have an overall score of 7.5 in IELTS. With the reading, a minimum of 7, writing, minimum of 8, speaking, minimum of 8, and listening, minimum of 8. Or else, you could substitute this requirement with if you had studied at least 4 years full-time in the higher education sector, like at any universities in Australia, or in Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, UK, or the US. Then you don't have to show that English requirement. Okay. So overall, you must complete a minimum of 4 years full-time or part-time equivalent, study at the university level that results in qualifications and includes a relevant initial teacher education qualification. So AITSL does require to see those kind of information detail, or else you will not be able to get a positive outcome from them. So to show evidence to the authority, AITSL, evidence of supervised teaching practice, you must show evidence that must be provided via an official document from the university. So, or, you know, your academic transcripts and completion letter must come from the university that you studied. And within the course that you studied, you must have done a supervised teaching practice, okay, in a school setting. So while you're studying, there'll be some field work or some a practice place at school that you have to go to perform the regulated number of hours that you need to show the teaching hours of practice under supervision to become a teacher. And then recent graduates from Australian universities must provide. So they must provide a final academic transcript for each year of study. You cannot miss any year. And of course, the official statement confirming completion of study by the university registrar. So that's just a completion letter from the university. On that completion letter, you should note that the date of when you first commenced the course, as well as the final date of completion of the course. Okay. So secondary teachers and early childhood or pre-primary teachers are on the list of occupations for the medium and long-term strategic skills list, MLT-SSL. As I mentioned before, the primary school teachers are not on that medium and long-term skills occupation list. So you would only find available to you for the 190 visa and 491 from certain states like Western Australia, who currently have a primary school teacher on their list of occupations and is in high priority. Like we don't have enough in Western Australia. That is why it's on the list. So there's a best chance that if you graduate as a primary school teacher, you will, when WA State starts to crank up the invitation rounds, perhaps by July or August, after the new financial year kicks in, you may even get picked up at minimum points. So even if you only have 60 points to your name, you can add 5 more points from the state for the 190 and you have 65 points now. You could even be invited as a primary school teacher at 65 points minimum, most probably, moving forward. So something for you to think about. So usually when you as international students study the course of study in Australia, once you have finished at least 2 years, either, you know, master's degree for 2 years or a bachelor's of 3 or 4 years, depending on what course you study, then everybody can apply for their own graduate visa. So temporary graduate visa subclass 485. So once you're on a graduate visa, it will allow you to stay back to continue to temporarily stay in Australia for at least 2 years and more. If you study in a regional area, you get to have an extension of 1 more year. Before your graduate visa expires, you're allowed to apply for an extension of 1 more year. So keep that in mind. So once you have completed your studies, and we're talking about you graduating as either a secondary teacher, early childhood teacher, even primary school teacher, the normal thing would be 99% of the time that you apply for your graduate visa. And then you work towards obtaining the required IELTS score or English, even PTE, to gain points as much as you can. And then you can, of course, immediately, once you have the completion letter from the university, apply to AITSL for your full skills assessment. The day you hold the outcome letter being successful from AITSL, for them to recognize you either as a secondary teacher, an early childhood teacher, or pre-primary teacher, or even primary school teacher, then you know you can immediately go online to Skill Select to lodge your expression of interest applications, to put your name down for 189 visa, 190 and 491. And then you wait. Each state and territory would do their rounds invitation each month. That's for the 190 visa and the 491 visa. Whereas for the skilled independent visa, subclass 189, it usually, immigration does the rounds invitation each time every 3 months. But we noted that it's been such a long time now, since December, that immigration has not done any invitation rounds for the 189 visa yet. So we don't know when they're going to start doing that. Okay, hopefully by after the 1st July 2024 this year, when everything settles and go back to normal again. Okay. Now, I want to help you to give you an idea. When you receive your skills assessment, then you know that the next step is to lodge your EOI, expression of interest applications, online to Skill Select, and how to collect the points to then lodge and put your name down for the different visas, the 189 visa, the 190 and the 491. And so you think, well, how many points would I be ending up with when I collect my points? So here's a chance for you to see clearly how many points you could pick up for certain categories in terms of age, English proficiency, even work experience inside Australia and outside Australia, how many points you could pick up depending on what degree you hold, and if you studied in a regional area, and if you did a language test through NAATI CCL, as you can see. There's multiple ways for you to pick up points as you go. And of course, the minimum is 65. If you can do better than that, then it's a bonus, because the more points you collect above 65, you have more kind of stability or kind of surety that you will be invited anytime earlier, okay? But from what I can see, looking back in the recent past, all teachers, mainly secondary teachers, pre-primary teachers, or across all visas, 189, 190, 491, only the minimum do you really need to show 65 points, and you're easily going to be picked up very soon, because apparently Australia needs more teachers, and especially in the regional areas like the states, like WA, we can never have enough. Okay, so the state would also invite you very soon once you graduate. Okay, so look at the age bracket. From 18 years old to 24 years old, you've lost potentially 5 points, and you only can collate 25 points to your name if you're around that age bracket of 18 to 24 years old. The ideal would be from the 25 to 32-year-old age bracket, you could claim the maximum points for your age is 30. Okay. When you turn 33 to 39, you've lost 5 points, so you can claim 25 points to start with. And if you turn 40 to 44, right, then you have lost 15 points. Okay, so there's a lot of so that's not going to help people who are mature age. Okay, so the ideal age would be the 25 to 32-year-old graduates. You can claim the maximum points for your age is 30. So for English competency, PTE, 65 or 7 in IELTS equivalent, you can claim 10 points. That's proficient English. For superior English, you need to get at least 8 in IELTS or PT equivalent of 79 to get 20 points. That's the maximum, 20 points for your English. For work experience in Australia, from 1 to 2 years, you can claim 5 points. So normally, as we normally see people when they're collating the points, if they work in Australia for 1 or 2 years, the usual is 5 points. If you stay long enough, if they've got the luxury to stay longer, then 3 to 4 years, you can claim up to 5 points, 5 to 7, 10 points. Outside of Australia, you have to have at least 3 years of work experience to claim 5 points or more. For your degree, if you study a bachelor's or master's degree, you can claim 15 points. For PhD, you can claim 20 points. If you studied in a regional area like Western Australia, South Australia, Northern Territory, you can claim 5 points extra. If you can speak any other language other than English, and if you sit the NAATI CCL language test, if you pass it, you can claim 5 points. For people who study anything that's related to IT, accounting, or even engineering, if you do professional year, that's going to last for 1 year later, you can claim 5 points after that. For state sponsorship, the state will give you 5 points if you put your name down for 190 and 15 points if you put your name down for 491. If you have a spouse who has competent English, then you can claim 5 points from them. If they have a skill in any occupation that's on the medium and long-term occupation list of Australia, and they also have competent English, they can give you back 10 points. Okay, so that's the substitute for you not being single. All right, so when you collate all the points together, if you'd studied to become a teacher, there's very good chance that you will always have more than 65 points for sure, unless you've lost so many points because of your age, right? So in a way, if you manage to be enrolled to study the Masters of Teaching in Australia for 2 years, that's a very good investment, because know that once you graduate, there's a very good chance that you could be able to be invited early for your skilled migration to get your PR. And because Australia now, apart from nurses and social workers, we don't have enough teachers. Okay, so you know, practically PR will be waiting for you once you finish your studies. Okay, so any doubts that you have, I welcome you to ask me directly now, or even afterwards. You can email to me in the inbox, and you know, I will respond to you as soon as possible. Please reach out to any of our education consultants at Aussizz Group, and myself and all of my other colleagues who are migration agents. We're here to help you. Okay. All right. I think there's a few questions already being made from some people who are listening to me today. So let me see if I can answer some of the questions here. We've got a question from Sijan Ka. Why English writing is minimum 7? Is the writing band requirement now 8? I believe so. Sandy Panu, I have done bachelor's in accounting and now doing postgraduate in early childhood. Do I need IELTS? Well, if you go back to how many years of bachelor's degree did you study in Australia? Remember the rule of at least 4 years, yeah? So postgraduate is like a diploma, is it? I'm not sure. Is it, did you do diploma or graduate diploma? What in early childhood are you studying at the moment? Please clarify. How about offshore applicants who has no Australian degree? So if you don't have an Australian degree, right, you need to show certain requirements for AITSL to assess you. Okay, if in doubt, if you can't find out yourself, please email to me and I can help you to answer your query about that. Lahini, I'm doing advanced diploma of network and telecommunications. What will be the procedure for skills assessment? Okay, it's outside of our today's session, but you know, you have to apply for your skills assessment for EA. Okay, so please make an appointment to see me or speak to me about that when after this, if you want further information. Is it possible, Jarek asks, is it possible to study as an early childhood teacher while having visa 485 after completing diploma in childcare? Yes, it is. So you obviously have some background in early childhood studies, right? And so there is like Masters of Teaching pre-primary or Master of Teaching early childhood. you can apply to the university showing your academic transcripts from previous studies, but still you have to do the Masters of Teaching, and they specialize in either secondary or pre-primary, or we call it early childhood, or primary. So if you select pre-primary or early childhood, then you still have to complete that Masters of Teaching course to become a qualified teacher in Australia. Okay. All right. I think we'll stop here for now. And I welcome you to, if you have any more queries after this session, please do email to me, and then I will respond accordingly. Thank you.